Hey, what is going on, guys, and welcome back to Too Much Tech. And in today's video, we're going to be taking an early look at the DragonFruit tactile switches from the Key Company and C3 Equalz. Basically, these are like my new favorite tactile switch. I don't really have like a ton of favorite tactile switches, believe it or not, obviously, but I like these quite a bit. It's similar to a brown switch, believe it or not, because the bump, the tactile bump I should say, is not very big like it is on the Kiwi switch. The Kiwi switch, if you've ever used like a Kale Box Jade or Box Navy, I believe they're called, that type of bump, how thick and long it is very similar to the Kiwi. And with the spring weight, I thought it was just a little bit too intense for your boy, okay? It was a little bit too tactile. But the DragonFruit switches are similar to browns and stuff like that, where the bump is not as pronounced, but it is there and you can still feel it quite a bit. These are my new favorite, and these switches are quite thocky, but let's go ahead and get into the details because it's not all fantastic news, but I do still like them quite a bit. So this is the deal. These switches are manufactured by JWK, but the housings are designed by C3 Equalz. So it's not a recolor, and honestly speaking, they don't even look the same as other JWK switches. So that really shouldn't be a worry. These have a unique sound. The colorway on this switch obviously is going to be very similar to the other Fruit series switches that are in the Key Company's lineup, like the tangerines, the kiwis, the banana splits actually are opaque, so they don't really look that similar. And then the ever so elusive blackberry clicky switches, if they're gonna still be clicky, we wonder when those are coming out. But you know what, I can wait on those. I'm more of a fan of linears and some tactiles. Now these housings are like this dark pink color with the snowy white stem. I don't really know exactly what the build materials are, but they sound pretty unique, not like really anything that I've heard before. They kind of sound similar to other C3 switches, but you guys will hear that in the sound test in a little bit here. And I'm also going to compare them to the Kiwi switches that I tried in the past before. Getting back to the housings, like I said, pink, white stem. They do have a gold 63.5 gram spring as well, and they do come factory lubed just a little bit. So you are able to lube over these if you want to have a little bit more intense lube on your switches. I would definitely recommend using like Tribosis 3204, 3203. It's a little bit thinner than Krytox because obviously Krytox is really going to drown out that sound of the switch, and you kind of don't want that with a switch like this. You want to maintain a lot of that natural switch sound if you are going to go ahead and lube these switches further than they are from the factory. Now, like I said before, the tactile bump is not nearly as pronounced as it is on the Kiwi. On the Kiwi, you can feel it and see it. On the DragonFruit, on the other hand, you can definitely feel the bump, but it's not nearly as long as the bump is on the Kiwi switches, which is pretty nice because with that lighter spring weight being at 63.5 grams, it makes the switches incredibly easy to use and very pleasant as well. Now, this is the thing. The quality of these switches in terms of just the stem wobble, I don't think is exactly up to par with the rest of the lineup from C3 Equalz, just because under a microscope, you will see that the switch housings are not nearly as tight of tolerances in comparison to the others, and even the Gateron Brown that I have on hand had a little bit tighter tolerances than the DragonFruits did. And then obviously comparing it to like a Zeal switch that's not even a fair comparison. The Zeal switch tolerances are just so good, it's absolutely nuts. But the sound test that we're going to take a look at in just a second here is going to include a lot of different switches from the other C3 Equalz that I have on hand, as well as some Xylent switches as well, both lubed and filmed. I used a thicker film this time. I used a 0.015 thick film from TX Film, so I will leave them linked in the description below. But the last thing that I want to say before we go ahead and conclude this video with the sound test, if you guys are interested in these after you hear this sound test, definitely stay tuned to the Key Company's website because these switches are dropping today, January 11th. So they're going to be dropping. Take a look at their social medias. I'll leave a link in the description below, as well as a direct link to these switches as well if you're happy with them. But other than the tolerances, I actually like them quite a bit, and this is probably the Thuckiest stock tactile switch I have ever used, which isn't that kind of what you want? I mean, it sounds very good to me. And the stem wobble, I'll be honest with you, it doesn't really bother me that much in use, but if you do decide to further lube and film your switches and you use those 0.015 thick millimeter films, that should really solve most of that issue. But thank you guys once again for tuning in to the rest of the video. If you guys enjoyed, feel free to drop a like and subscribe if you're new to the channel as well, and have fun listening to this sound test. Let me know if I should drop a full sound test again after I lube and film these switches, because I like them quite a bit. I think I will. And by the way, guys, if you like the Islander keycap set as well that I've had on my drop Karina for who knows how long, the key company will be dropping these on Friday. I'll put the date on the screen right now, but they'll be dropping them on Friday. So stay tuned to their social medias if you want a chance at getting this elusive Islander set. I'm glad they got extras, okay? So stay tuned. When that drop goes live, don't be surprised if they sell out quick. Just be ready.